Buddha.
And gentlemen, what's up? How everybody doing? I got a special guest today. My longtime friend, call him Kung Fu Roo. But my man Roo, he come in to chop it up with me about the transition into trucking and also out of trucking, life outside of trucking. So I'm gonna let him introduce yourself. Introduce yourself, man.
Yeah, my name is Roo Morton, and I'm now I'm currently a drone pilot, and I'm here with E-Sharp. He's gonna ask me a couple of questions, and I'm happy, and I don't have a problem answering. So go ahead and ask away, my brother.
All right, first off, man, I'm gonna try to start from the very beginning. As far as you, where you from?
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay. Born and raised?
Yeah, born and raised, Baltimore, Maryland. Yep.
When you got into the working industry, just as far as just making money, what was your first job?
My first job was everybody had their own, their little McDonald's type job. But my first job was at Food Depot. I was working the deli, and
Okay.
slicing meat, eating some, but slicing the meat, and making a little cash. Minimum wage. You know how that goes back in the time. I was in my early, I'm gonna say I was in my late teens, early 20s at the time when I was doing that. So after that, I was pretty much doing that at a point where, like, after that I moved on to electric. I worked for an electric company for a while as an apprentice. Okay. So yeah, that's about it. But I guess your real question is when did I move into the trucking industry?
Yeah. I'm getting up to that. How did you get how did you get introduced into trucking?
So it's kind of funny because I ran into my cousin that I didn't see since high school, and at this time I was thinking I was in my early 20s, and I ran into my cousin and he told me that he worked for this trucking company, but they was yard jockeying, and I got into yard jockeying, and I liked it, and the money was good, and it went on. It pretty much went on from there. And I was doing that for some, like, I think probably, like, at that point I was almost doing it for like almost 10 years.
Slow down. All right, time out. I was just about to ask you how long were you doing it. So you got into it and you did yard jockeying for approximately 10 plus years.
Yeah, because it transitioned over to, first it was Abacus, then it transitioned over, then it turned to ITS.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So I was there like before they, they moved over to another business took over it. So I was still a jockey driver there.
Okay. All right. For the people who don't know what yard jockeying is, can you explain that terminology? Yard jockeying. What do yard jockeys do?
Yard jockeys pretty much move trailers from one side of the yard to another to either get unloaded. And I mean, the job I was working for we was loading for CXX. So we was loading the trains up with the trailers and making sure they was locked down, and using the crane. We use the jockey trucks to pick up the trailers, take the trailers over to the crane, and the crane pretty much put the trailers onto the train, and then they get locked down to the train and then shipped the way to the ports.
Okay. All right, so you did that for a number of years.
I'm thinking it was so far back. I'm thinking it was around that time. Probably it was like 9, but it was somewhere around there.
Okay, then you put some time in there. That's
Yeah, I put a lot of time in it.
okay. All right. So while you was doing that, what was the experience like with the yard jockey? How was the
Well,
experience?
the yard jockey was pretty cool because I went into it not knowing how to operate a jockey. When I learned how to operate a jockey, it just became natural for me, and pretty much driving around the yard, shipping trailers around, dealing with problems. I mean, I actually broke my finger
Ooh,
at some point because I was trying to unlock a trailer and the bar flipped and popped my finger. So that was a little drama that happened in my life.
yeah.
Working
Hey,
there.
safety first with everything, man.
Hey,
God.
it was safety first, but the bar didn't think so when it popped.
Right. Oh man.
That
So
bar was like 50 pounds, so they go up
uh,
and land and flip on that finger.
yeah, how long were you out when you injured yourself? If you can remember that.
Not too long. I think I was out for about a week, and then I was on what you call that when you workman's comp.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on that for a while. Then they had me working, but I was pretty much on the yard directing the other jockey drivers because I couldn't drive.
Okay.
So,
All right. I also wanted to add into this the story that you're telling. I used to work with Rue at ITS. That's where I met.
yeah, you was my partner, man.
Yeah, Rue and KB. Yeah. So those two, I got KB and Rue, they were like very instrumental in my trucking career. They got me started. They taught me the ins and outs of the yard and pretty much got me started into my trucking career. So I wanted to throw that in there. That's where I met Rue at. I met Rue and KB there. So I wanted to throw that part in there. So after so many years working there, what led to your departure, leaving ITS?
Leaving ITS, at some point I had just got tired of. I wanted to move on, and to change the scenery. It was the same scenery, and I wanted more. And like all of us, we want to make more. We want to be able to make more money, more opportunities that's out there. So that's where I was at with it.
Facts. So from ITS, what was your next job immediately after ITS? Did you get right into another job? Did you get into another yard jockey position, or you took some time off in between working from ITS going to your next job?
So working from ITS, I went to another I went into another jockey job because it was offering more money.
Okay.
And then that was what was it then? I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they had like a small yard at the time when they was using jockey trucks, and with that experience, it's pretty much taking the trucks come in and you move the trucks, the drivers are hooked from their trucks, and then you connect to their trailers and move it to a dock where they unload the trailers at.
Okay. All right. So how was it working at Amazon? A lot of people be asking about these different companies. So you got some insight. Amazon. Give me 1 second. Hold it. All right. Yeah. Some giving my keys back. Yeah. Working at Amazon. How was that? A lot of people be wanting some inside intel working for different companies like that. But since you work there, you can give like your honest opinion on working for them. So how was it?
No, at that point working for Amazon, I wasn't there long, but like for pretty much the same reasons. But when I was working there, it was more of the yard was small, the pace was strong, and it was like moving trailers to a dock is different from moving trailers to a crane. You moving in front of the crane. Now
Right.
you're doing more, parking and making sure it's even with the dock, so you can so the people that work in the warehouse can unload the trailers. So yeah. So it's like so it's not real. It wasn't really no big different. They, when it comes to those type of jobs, they pretty much all the same. It just depends on the pay.
Okay.
When it comes to jobs like that, but not all jockey jobs, because I can't think of the company right now, but I moved from there and work for this company that's I forgot the name of this company. But what happened with this company, they knew that I worked I was working in the warehouse, and they knew that I was working jockey. So what happened? They ain't have a jockey; they had a tractor trailer, which was interesting. I didn't know how to operate a tractor trailer, so I pretty much got my experience. They just told me just keep it in first gear and move the trailers around. So the difference between the difference between a jockey and a trailer, you gotta crank the legs down before you unhook from the trailer. Versus jockey, you got to shift the put the legs out, drop the trailer for you automatically. But I pretty much learned how to drive a tractor trailer from doing that for a couple of years.
Whoa, okay. All right. So now we getting into like the onto the road type experience.
Right. That's when I decided that, instead of doing this, maybe I can make more getting my CDLs.
Yeah, okay.
But at that point, I didn't have my CDLs. But when I was driving, I was like, I might as well go ahead and get my CDLs,
Yeah.
So that way I won't be limited to just a jockey.
Right. Okay, that's smart. That's real smart. You capitalizing on what you was going through, and you made a good choice on that. So you get your experience, and then you think, all right, I'm driving these tractors. I might as well go ahead and get my CDL. How was it? How did you get your CDL? What was the motion with that getting your CDL?
It was like in like anything new. It was a little nervous. I was a little nervous in the beginning, but I was familiar with trucks. So at this point, when the training and everything, it was pretty much easy, the training part. The hard part for me was taking the trucks out on the road.
Right. Okay.
Once I graduated, and they sent me to another state, which I loved because I never been on a plane before.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was like I was like, wow. So this is it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just scrolling. This is
it. That's good right there, because trucking will open you up to the world when you start traveling a little bit. So that's actually that's some good intel right there for those who get into the trucking field. You will be doing a lot of traveling. If you got the experience, or if you a starter, they'll give you a plane ticket and shoot you out. So after you get your CDLs, hold up, you went to school for that, right? Or
right, I went to school.
Okay, you went to school. What was the job? What was the job you got hired with after getting your CDL license?
So once I got my CDLs, how I worked then, I know it's probably different now because it was so many years ago, but how I worked then is once you graduate, they send you to they have another company lined up for you to go to when you graduate. Right. And my experience was US Express.
Okay.
That was my first experience. So so it was pretty cool. It was new, and I went over the road a couple of times, and I mean that was pretty much it for us that. So the experience, driving over the road was crazy because now I'm driving this truck with with a trailer on my back, dealing with all types of weather that I don't want to deal with. And realize, in that experience, I realized something. But I'm gonna let you finish. But
oh man, so you you get in the truck, you start going like cross country, right? Let me ask you a question.
I mean, if you never been anywhere, it just open up a lot of people. It open up how different people. They're not the same that you used to. It just open you up, wider. The idea of you're not just watching this on TV anymore. You actually living it.
Oh, that's deep. That's deep right there. So when you in the truck, what type of truck did they have you in? Did they have you in a automatic or?
No, they ain't have automatics then.
So using a manual?
Yeah, honestly, I never used an automatic truck before. I don't even know how to. I mean, I know how to use an automatic truck. I just know how to use a manual.
That's good. That's good because it's just like driving a car. You just put in drive, and that's how it works with all the others.
I always thought it was something for the newer generation, but I didn't know. I was I'm I'm stuck in.
Yeah. So a lot of these companies are going automatic now. Low maintenance, and anybody can get in and just drive at this juncture in the trucking industry. So, man, I would rather have a stick, but the new guys, like you said, they would much rather hop into an automatic. But
it makes passing the course easier when you.
Yeah, it really does.
I had that then, versus now because it was like can't. Trying to. My instructor was showing me how to do it.
Yeah, right. All right. So, you out on the road. How long were you out? How long did you?
Sometimes I think the first time I was out for almost 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then the second time after that, it was like I was getting promises like you work a week and then you off for the weekend, and then you work another week, you off for the weekend during those times.
And that was with U.S. Express, right?
Right.
Okay. So U.S. Express, they got you. You were going from east to west, or were you like you stayed on the East Coast? You were regional.
I pretty much stayed on the East Coast.
Okay. So you was out for the week, you come home on the weekend type ordeal.
Yeah, right. I mean, it was one time when now that you mention it, there was one experience that I had that I thought was crazy when I poured I know you've probably been in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Them cops, at that time it was like I was trying to go past the line, and they pulled up and they jumped pretty much in my truck, checking me, making sure I was legit and everything. I was like, wow. And they coming to my shoulders, but they jumping in my window like, okay, let me see you. Let me see you there. I'm like, wow. I'm like, it was a different scenery. Like stuff you see on TV. On my way there, I seen stuff like, how people live in trailers. I never experienced seeing that at that time. Not seeing it for myself. I was like, wow, people actually live in these trailers.
Wow.
So I was like,
yeah, it's just getting into the mindset of a new trucker and seeing all this new stuff is appealing for real. All right, so you driving, you doing your thing. What was the craziest thing you seen on the road while you was driving? Or anything like on the road transitioning back and forth from home? Like, what was the craziest thing you seen? If you can, like, if it was anything wild.
I think the craziest thing that I seen is that time we had that big storm, and I was on my way back from Long Island, and I was stuck, and the snow was covering the beltway, and trucks was sliding off the beltway, I'm talking about trailers, and I was just stuck there until I couldn't move. So it was like I think that was my worst. I think that was my work spurs. That was actually one of my finish points. That was one of my finish points at the time, because at this point I was getting frustrated. I wasn't home like I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And and it was like it was a pan what they advertised.
Mm-hmm.
They say, at that time they were saying you're making all this big money and this and that. Yeah, you're making all that big money if you don't go back home. You stay on the road. you know.
Wow. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was like, yeah, I missed home. So it was it was a crazy experience, but I did realize that I ain't like being on the road.
Okay.
So yeah, good.
So that leads me to my next question when it comes to home life. Was did that take a toll on your relationship when it came to being away? Is this I know it's probably your first time. This was your first time being away from home. As far as your relationship with your significant other, did that take a toll on it? Did that take being
Yeah,
away? Did it take a toll on it?
I think my wife was very supportive of me doing new things. So that part didn't take I wasn't in it long enough for it to take a toll. I mean, I think the longest I've probably been in it was probably a year.
Okay.
So I think what took a toll was that I would start bringing home less money because I
Ooh,
was always with somebody, a partner. And every time I started a job, it was with a trainer. And it's how that is. You're not getting much out of that.
right, right.
So
That's a fact.
so I think the big part of that was other than I ain't like driving anyway, was the money. It wasn't working too well for me. So I went back local.
So the fact of not only are you not home, the money looking funny now.
Yeah, money looking funny. Because
Yes,
I'm not working, hourly anymore. I'm
right,
pretty much
right. Ooh, so when it came to the money, was it like a drastic change or was it like a steady decrease in the pay? And
no, it was a drastic. I want to say
drastic.
yeah.
Whoa. What caused that? What was the main cause of the drastic change in pay? What,
Um I think because of the routes that we was taking, like when I was working for U.S. Express, it's like they give you like hotels. You don't stay in a truck stop. You
okay.
stay in um no, you don't. I didn't stay at a truck stop, but you had an option to. But I'd rather sleep in a room than at a truck stop. So they take that out of your pay if you sleep in. And I'm talking about a motel, that type of stuff. Every little thing comes out of your check, and it's like, yeah, I was like, nah, I really can't do no more dealing with what whatever the truck is like. Somebody like lot lizards be knocking on your door when you're at a truck stop. You like what
Yeah, that's
when
crazy.
you try you're trying to sleep. But it's not always the case. But sometimes it's like when you there, you knocked out, ready for somebody knocking on your door for something or
That's crazy.
so
I don't think I've ever experienced that over the road. Anybody knocking on my door. I didn't, and because I would sleep in my truck um, with the companies I was with. I think one company I was able to get hotel, but they paid for it or whatnot. But when I slept in my truck, I don't think I ever experienced anybody just randomly knocking on my door for anything. That's crazy. That's something new here for real. I never
that's
experienced.
when you go to those truck stops. That's not like you go to some truck stops. Let's say the one like in Atlanta, you go to a truck stop like that that's big, that they got everything that's going on in there.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about that type of stuff. But if you go somewhere where it's like
Them little mom and pop,
or
truck
yeah,
stop.
yeah, right.
Oh
And
man,
I had my share of those. So
that's crazy. Hey, that's an experience right there. Only you can tell. I've never experienced that. That's wild. Even at the little mom and pops truck stops, I've never
I
experienced
don't
that.
know. Maybe I got that look and say, "Hey, he look nice. Let's knock on his door."
That's crazy, man. All right. So all right, so now you getting tired. You just like, all right, I'm starting to get fed up with this trucking crap. Um, what was your next move while you're in the truck? What was you thinking in your head? Like, all right, what's my next move to get out of this? What do I have to do? Or was it some other circumstances that got you out of the truck?
Um, I'm thinking, at that point, I just felt like I want to be home. I want to be home more, And I when you out there, you be like, okay, it's a lot to do at home. So you think of things just go in your head like a lot of things to do at home, and I can make more money. But at this time, I was searching for other opportunities.
Okay.
So I was looking for more like local jobs.
Okay. All right.
So I had my share. I had my share of local jobs, and the local jobs are good. They're great. I mean, find the right ones, they're great. But like I said, me personally, I'm not a I hate drive. I just hate driving. I ain't gonna lie, I hate driving.
Hey, look, hey. I still drive, and I'm not a big fan of it. So I feel you on that. I definitely feel you on that. All right, so you like, all right, it's time to go. What's your next move? What was the next move out of the truck? Where did you go?
My next move out of the truck, I was doing some local work, but because I didn't like still when I was doing local work, it was like driving, the traffic. It was like, you know what, I want to try get back into the jockey field. So I got back into the jockey field. And then till when time went on, and it was okay with the whole jockey thing. As like jockey, like right now, I feel like that's I think that's where I'm real good at as far as jockeying.
Okay.
So
after you got out of the truck, you got back into jockeying. How long did you do the jockeying?
I was doing jockey off and on for I mean, you talking about I was in my 30s, and I pretty much stopped jockeying. I'm 47 now. I pretty much stopped jockeying when I was 45. So I was off from the beginning on up to a couple years ago. That's all I was doing is jockeying.
All right. When it came to the jockeying, did you
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And in between there, I did a little bit of dispatching, and I found out that I don't like dealing with people when it comes to dispatching.
that was my next question. You took it. You ripped it right out of my mouth. Yeah. So you started dispatching.
Right.
All right. Explain a little bit more with the dispatch and how did that go? How did you even get into the dispatch?
So so when it came to dispatch, I was working night shift, and and the whole drive, and at this point I was doing local. The whole drive experience with local didn't work out for me too well, so they offered me a job in dispatching. And once they hit me with the dispatching thing, dealing with people, gotta call. I hate calling people when they ain't reporting to work. Or they're not supposed to be where they're supposed to be. I hated that because people think they're doing right. They don't think you need to be calling them. Then they just go to the whole. I'm not gonna say all people. You got nice people. Then you got the people that's just, I don't know what they be thinking, but they think they in the right for not being in a place where they don't need to be, or whatever the case may be.
So you got a taste of that management position.
Oh, hold on, I ain't want to cut you off, but
go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you one of the things I called a guy one night. He left his cell phone number to call him, so he didn't show up to work. And he showed up to work, so I called the cell phone number. This lady answered, and she started wilding out. I'm like, look, he gave me this number. So what happened? She answered his phone, and he wasn't home. So now I'm getting in the middle of something that I don't know nothing about. So it's like, I can't deal with these kind of people. So I need to move on.
That's crazy.
But you learn a lot of stuff. You learn a lot about routes and how truckers operate. How they operate and everything, and making schedules, and pretty much doing, for me, my experience doing that job is pretty much checking up, making sure that the jobs are on schedule, and making sure everything's getting delivered on time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna reach back a little bit. Now that you off the road and you're home doing the yard jockey thing, how does that affect home now? Are you glad to be home? Are you glad to see wifey like, I'm back home. Like how did that go? How does that dynamic work? You get back off the road.
You know, it's different. It's better, but different. Because now I gotta worry about my wife beating me up. You know what I mean? He likes to beat on me, but that's just another story. But yeah, so I like being home better.
Hey. Don't listen to them. Ain't no abuse going on. Don't even throw that out there. All right. So now you home. Everything, you pretty much where you need to be as far as I'm gonna assume pay wise and you're home.
Right.
Is the money looking good now? When you come back
at that point, the money was always okay, and I mean the whole thing. The money just went bad for me when I was over the road, and I realized it wasn't for me. But other than that, I found ways in like in local or jockey, the money is not always going to be bad, especially if you get those jobs that offer overtime.
Okay.
You know, so everything was I ain't gonna say everything was gravy, but everything was a lot better than being over the road.
All right.
For me, you know, everybody's different. So
that's a fact. That's a whole fact. So now that you're home, you're yard jockeying. How long did you do that before the transition? It's like, all right, I'm not feeling this now. When does that start to change in your head when you like, okay, this not working out for me right now?
It moved. It has this. I mean, it's kind of like it had a slow pace because in my head, I wanted to be be the one that won the lottery and got to work no more. But see, that's not happening, so I had to work. So I was doing the jockey thing. Then I got with this company called Tipton Trucking. So what happened with Tipton is like I was doing local work. At when they needed here and there, not every day. So I was jockeying. But the thing about why I was working with Tipton and jockeying was I had to jockey with a day cab. And a lot of people don't play that. That's a lot of work. And I was jockeying flatbeds.
Whoa. All right. For those who don't know, you're gonna have to break down the jockeying in a flatbed and like what's the stress that come with that. What was your experience with that?
Oh, the stress that come with that is doing it. That's the stress that come with it. But
okay.
I mean, you had to I had to get on. First of all, we're not talking about rainy days or bad weather days where you got to top them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, these flatbeds and I'm topping like shingles and I'm throwing straps over them on top of these trailers in the rain. So it's like it was stressful in the beginning, then it just became natural. It toned me out, toned my body out. It made me, physically it made me look good. And the people that I worked with was very friendly, not very friendly, but they was very good to work with. So it was like when I was working there doing the jobs, it stressed me out a little bit, especially, those days I'm talking about when you're topping and it's real windy and like the top will tick you in the air with those days.
Yeah.
Topping ain't easy, but I think it's a lot easier now. But it's I don't know, I'm not too sure, but I just seen other ways of they doing topping now. But the way I had to do it was pretty much once they loaded the flatbed, I had to get on top of the flatbed, strap everything down, sometimes top it, jump in a truck, connect a day cab at the time, connect the day cab to the trailer. Once I connect to the trailer, gotta crank the legs up. Crank the legs.
Man,
and
that's a lot.
I mean, it's not like doing like a regular trucking job when you do all this and then an hour later you in another state or another in another county somewhere unloading this truck, dropping this trailer off. You know, I'm actually topping and strapping this stuff down and moving it next, on the other side of the yard, and then coming back and doing the same thing to the next trailer.
Man, that's a lot.
Like, there was a lot of work, you know.
Yeah, that's a lot, man.
So yes.
Were you the only person doing that specific duty at that job? Or was it other guys doing the same thing?
In that yard, I was the only jockey driver in that yard. So yeah.
So you were an asset there. You were one of their valuable employees there.
Right.
Nevertheless, man, pretty much.
Yeah. If I call out, they had another guy, but he worked in another location, but it wasn't too far from me. So if I would call out, he would come over and look out, or they would have their drivers do it. If I was taking off work, they would have their drivers that's dropping the trailers off to do it, because the trailers is getting dropped off. The drivers work for the same company.
Okay.
So I was pretty much there to speed up the pace.
All right.
To keep them from strapping down and and topping and everything.
So did you eventually transition into something else within that company, doing something else? Did you
not within the company though?
Okay.
There was one more.
Explain
okay, I was working for that company, but like I said, I wasn't making the money I wanted to make. So I picked up a part-time job with this company called US1. So I was working there on the weekends.
Hold on. Stop right there.
I get around, man. Well,
yeah, that's
around.
That's crazy. Hold up. All right. That's a lot to take in for me. You working this strenuous job.
Right.
Stressful. You doing a lot of.
It wasn't mentally, because like I said, the employees there. I was working for GAF.
Okay, yeah.
So, the employees there was the type of employees when they would throw like parties, they would invite you to their house, or if they having like Fridays, they would have like food, like cookouts or whatever in the back.
That's good. That's good morale for the company.
Yeah,
they kept that up. That's actually good.
And a manager was very he understood what I do, and he didn't take what I did granted. You know what I mean? He didn't he made me feel valued. You know what I mean?
That's good. That's good, man. Cause that's strenuous enough doing all that.
Yeah.
You turn around and get another a part-time job.
Right.
What? All right. What was the part-time gig?
The same thing. I was a jockey driver, but the only difference there. I was working on the weekends, and it was jumping.
Working mother. He's a working mother, boy. God.
Boy, I mean, at the time, yeah, but it was crazy because they when I was working for them and getting back into a jockey truck. It was like when I went there, I just blew them out. I outworked everybody because I'm so used to working with a daycare, something harder than what they was used to doing. So I pretty much went there and I blew out on the weekends. I was working out on the weekends.
That's crazy, man. Wow. Hey, I'm gonna clap it up for you. Like, a lot of people can't do that, man. Like, that's a lot, bro. And then you got a family at home that you got to maintain. Right. So that take a lot mentally. Physically,
a lot of mental stuff. I mean,
that's a lot.
People do get on your nerves,
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. That's I guess that comes with work. I don't care where you work at. I just comes to work.
I'm gonna commend you for that, man. A lot of people can't juggle that. You know what I mean? Something gonna fall off, but somehow you managed to do that. And where did that take you in the long run? Like,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I ain't mean.
No. Go ahead.
So it took me from the job I was working part-time. They value what I did. So they offered me full-time with more money.
Oh, okay.
And overtime.
All right.
And in months I became their site manager.
Oh, so you let the other job go with all the tarping and the rolling up the landing gears, and you let that one
Right.
go, and
Right.
you went full time with your part time job.
Right.
Okay, all right. So they threw some coins at you,
And I was,
yeah.
it wasn't. I mean, it was everything they was telling me. It was nothing. I looked at them as like it's. I seen worse. I came from worse. I mean, at this job, people. I mean, at this point, the jockey drivers there was always they would complain about moving 2 trailers because one person that's working with them moved maybe 3 and they moved 2 and they want to cry about it. I came there and worked the shit by myself. I worked all of them.
It's always somebody like that at every company. It's just like, bro, what do you come here to do, man? Came to work, not
right.
to not to F off. Like, come on, man. Like, that's everywhere. But how was the morale there at the part-time, now full-time job? How were the people there? How were the employees?
It was cool. It was cool. But when I became manager, the thing about when I became manager, that's when all the bull crap.
Oh, all right. Let's get into it.
It was, I mean, not the type of bull crap where other employees get jealous because people was getting fired and they was quitting because they thought the job was harder but they never experienced a hard job before. So when they was working there, it's like, I mean, it's times when they quit, I'm working the ship by myself, So at that point, when they hired more people, one of the vice presidents came through and he offered me he seen me working because somebody called out and he seen me out there working, and they needed a supervisor, and then down the line they made me site manager, and all this is happening within a year. I mean, you sometimes take people a long time. The thing about site manager is that if I would go on trips, I mean, which you probably know, when I would go on trips, as long as I had a laptop monitoring everybody, I'm still getting paid. I used to like that type of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cool.
Good, cool. That's what's up. All right. So how long did you do that?
I did that for about 2 years. I thought I was gonna do it longer, but then they was talking about the whole salary thing. It kind of threw me off. I don't like salary, even though I'm stuck with it. But I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. So they tried to do the whole salary, and I already knew that's a job that has 3 shifts. And every time somebody called out, or every time somebody broke down, they was experiencing calling me, and I had to come down there and fix their problems.
Right. All right. So the good, bad, and the ugly with that. What was the worst thing, with that company? What ultimately made you leave? What happened, or what was the transition?
I think dealing with when I was a site manager, and I seen how frustrating dealing with adults that's acting like kids. I'm like, I already have kids, and it just got frustrating. At that point, it just was getting frustrated. Y'all was getting out of control. So it was more like, I'm tired of dealing with kids. But my goal was to stay with them, maybe get a high position and do more, because they offer traveling, but I could never travel like other site managers could, because every time I was prepared to do something, somebody will either call off or call out, and it's like they was dependent on me there.
Wow. So pretty much you got pretty much fed up with that.
Yeah, I got with it. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I got fed up with it.
All right.
But I didn't quit. I only quit when I had gotten another job offering, and that's pretty much it. But I probably would have been still there today if I haven't.
Okay. All right. So speaking of that job offering, what was that job offering that ultimately pulled you away from that company?
Well, that's the title, the switchover come in.
The transition. What transition?
Yeah, the transition. I'm sorry, the transition.
You good? It's the transition. What's the transition that ultimately pulled you away from trucking?
Being a full-time drone pilot.
Okay. Drone pilot. Now, a lot of people are not even privy to, making money flying drones. So the job offer, what was that like? How did you come about getting that job offer? How did you hunt that down, or how did it come to you?
I came at the point where I was the job I was at the time present. I was looking at different jobs. I was looking for different jobs, maybe paying more money, or at that time I was looking for drone pilot jobs. If they came up, I put an application in, and that's and one day.
So you were specifically looking for a drone pilot job?
Well, it's a I want to say it's like more toward, because while I was working at this job as a site manager, I was it's gonna go back a little bit.
Go ahead.
Let's go back to Tipton.
Okay.
When I was there before I went to US1, while I was working there, I decided to get my drone pilot license.
So you were, hold up, God.
I mean, I told you, man. I didn't. I forgot. You brought. I mean, you asked me that question. Remember that. And how that. That's no. I mean, how I got started in that. That's just like it happened in between those two jobs.
That's crazy. Where did you find the time to even get your pilot's license, your drone? Like, man, how? I'm just like, how? What made you first think about the drone? Like, what was that? What was the initial thought getting into that? How did you get into that?
So that takes me way back to when I was a kid. I always wanted one of those RC helicopters. I used to Radio Shack. At that time, I was a kid. Radio Shack was open. It was big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always wanted an RC plane. I mean, an RC helicopter.
Okay.
So it was while I was working at Tipton. I used to bring it up to my wife here and there, and it's like one day she surprised me with a drone, and I was like, she heard me say she bought me a drone. So when I flew it, it went the other way, and we lost the drone when I flew it. I was like,
oh, man.
Wow, we lost. She bought me this drone, so she was real cool about it. Like, wow, just took off like that. I'm not mad about it. I brought it for you. It was probably gonna happen anyway. So one year for my birthday, she buys me, and I'm right at this point. I'm still at Tipton.
Okay.
And no, not to mention I'm at Tipton for 6 years. Okay, so this is not no short period. So she brought me an RC plane, and one of those RC planes is right here. If you can see it.
Yeah. Go ahead. Let's
see it.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, that thing can fly. So she brought me that, and I was putting, and I felt she brought me this gift. She brought me this plane, but when I opened it up, it's like you got to put it together. You got to put the controller together. You got to program the remote. And I'm like, this is a lot of work. You know what I mean? Then I never told her, but I was like, I felt like I'm not putting this together, but I put it together because she brought it for me. So when I put it together, it was like she brought it for me at a point in my life where I needed it, because it opened up me putting the plane together and trying to learn how to fly the plane, opened up a door where it was like, I want to learn this stuff. And then when I went to I joined the AMC club, not AMM club. And if you know that AMM clubs are pretty much clubs for recreational flyers to play with their drones, their airplanes. You see them all the time on YouTube when they fly in their little airplane, toy planes or whatever. That's the spot where you're supposed to fly legally in that club. So it had different ones, but I was a part of that one. So I went there and I seen a guy. This guy, he was retired and he had a drone. And it was like, okay, I'm learning how to fly this plane. So I'm like, I would like to get to the drone thing. And then my head was stuck on it. My mind was just stuck there ever since. So I just like, okay, I want to learn how to fly a drone. You know, I had a drone, you know. I'm like, okay, I got a little experience. So let me, go in and get my license, because at that time you would hear things like people making money now off of drones. Just like like a gig or something. I was like, okay, I like flying drones now, so I can do it for a gig. While I'm working at the job now, while I'm working at Tipton, I was kind of figure, it was a lot of overtime, but I was like, I can make some side money off of that. You know what I mean? So it was like, okay, I could do that. So it was, it was cool. It was motivating to know that you could, join like different third party businesses, and they will call you up when their clients need photos of a building or a house or whatever, realtors, whatever the case may be. They would call me up here and there. So I was doing that here and there. So it was like, it wasn't no full-time thing for me. I was doing it part-time. So I probably would do small, small amounts of jobs when it came to that. So pretty much I just got into, and I got my I brought my first drone. It was a Maverick Pro, and this drone, that drone right here. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if
yeah.
It's the drone.
Pull it on up to the camera, yeah.
See.
Okay, well, one of them type drones, how much do those things run?
This one is that one I think you could find for $1,500 now. I think when I got that one was $25 at the time. Now this one here is those type of drones you use for like jobs and stuff like that. Like small jobs, they get the job done.
Can we get a close up of the other one that's behind you on your other side? Oh, you got 3 of them behind you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the one my manager I was telling you about that worked at Tipton, that he got it for me for a Christmas gift. He paid $500 for this.
That's cool, man.
So yeah, they was real cool there. This one this one here is this one here is the Maverick Pro 3. It has the if you can see the front of it, the 3 cameras on
cameras.
It. Yeah, for like zooming, and helping the quality of the picture. So yeah, they pretty much. But this not the drone that I was using at the time for work. That drone right there, that's a $4,000 drone. I know you already asked that, but that one was one my money maker there. That was my money maker at the time for the gigs. I didn't have that one at the time. I wish I did, but this one's upgraded from that one. Upgrade from that one.
So you started doing the drone thing, and you pretty much starting to take off with it. Correct? I'm correct in saying that. Right?
I want to say it was. I did the drone thing. I would do. I would fly sometimes here and there on the weekends. But then I didn't expect for it to take off, because when I got the call, I didn't expect. It was a surprise. I thought I was gonna pretty much be doing jockeying, that type of work, because I felt like when it comes to jockey driving, I feel like ain't nobody can teach me anything with jockeying. I trained people. I was a manager at sites. I mean, I was site manager. I was like, nobody can teach me nothing about jockeying. So I felt like that was all I knew. The only thing I felt is that I would grow from it, and I was growing from it. Before I picked up on this next phase of my life.
All right, I wanna pull up something real quick. Got some other questions for you. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. I'll pull this up. Let's see. All right, Ruth.
You got surprised me with this one.
Yeah. Good job, bro. Yeah, man. So where was that? Where you get that footage from? What was that? What area was that you were filming?
That was all most of that footage was near the harbor.
Okay.
In the area, you know where the inner harbor. If you
so is that was the inner harbor? Was that recreational or was it was you doing like a
that when I was doing that that was more recreational type line.
Okay. So how difficult is it, to get into the drone field? Trying to get into it, like what's the steps to actually getting into it, doing it the right way?
I think the biggest step is now. I think the biggest step is pretty much going go to FAA.com and look for their courses, and they'll offer like online not course but course, and they offer like an online the study guide, the study guide online that you can pretty much study, and then you try to learn what you can from it. And there's a lot of the test is based on stuff that airspaces and stuff that actual pilots had to learn, actual plane pilots, stuff like that. Pretty much understanding the airspaces, because flying the drone part, it's not hard. All you gotta do is buy yourself a drone and learn. If you're ready to crash one, don't get an expensive one to start off with. So
smart.
Yeah, so the hard part is pretty much learning everything else for us. Like I was saying before, the airspaces, ATC, FAA, all they laws and regulations and TSA, that type of stuff. You learn that. It sounds hard, but if you study for it, I think they don't touch really hard if you study for it.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pull up another video from my man Ruth. Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Hey man, you got a link you want to promote? This is some great footage right here, man. Like, you got like a business card or something you want to promote to the people as far as getting into this drone thing?
Well, I have a website, www.flyingwithru.com. So that's my website.
Okay.
So that's www.flyingwithru.com. FLYINGWITHRUE.com.
Excellent, excellent. I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna watch one more because you got a lot of you got a lot. I want to watch one more though. Give me a second. Yeah, man. It's interesting how you can go from one career into another. How is it working out? How long have you been doing this so far?
I've been doing this. Well, I was doing this since I started. I was like 21. I mean, 2021 when I actually be seeking my license and start doing like side jobs with it. So it was like for right now, for me, I want to say it's about 5, probably going on 6 years.
Hey man,
That's off and on. But now I do it full time, so I'm doing it every day.
Okay. One more. One more. Hey man, hey, hold up. This off topic. I want that song. What song is that? I want that song, man. That was jamming, bro. Yeah, you got to give me that when we get off camera. I need that. I got to add that to my list. Man, music for real.
I thought everybody knew that, so I forgot the name of it, but I sent it to you.
Yeah, give me that. I need that, man. So, take us through that. Like, what were you actually doing with the drone? Were you like testing it out or whatnot?
Yeah, I was doing a pre-inspection on the drone. So yeah, I was pretty much testing the drone. If you can't tell, it was pretty windy that day, and I wanted to see how the drone react towards the wind.
How the drone reacts towards the wind. Now,
right.
Can you take us through that? Like, what is supposed to happen when you testing it like that? What are you looking for when you testing it like that?
Well, I'm looking for two things. I'm looking for if there's two ways you can do it. You can look at, in the manual of the drone, see what type of wind can it handle, because certain drones are different. Some are built for this is just different types of drones. Like some are built for like recreational, some is built for business, some is better for business. So in that case, I was saying how much pressure does the wind has a effect on the drone. So I have an idea of when I fly it, what I gotta deal with, because if you're flying it out, the battery go dead, and you're trying to bring the drone back, but the wind pushing it back.
Okay.
If the battery goes dead on it, the drone will make it back to you on time. The battery goes dead, the drone going to drop. It might drop and fall somebody in the head. Now you're talking about a lawsuit. So you don't want that to happen.
So different, like you said, different drones are for like recreational and business purposes, correct?
Right.
Do you check when you get in the drone? Do you check for like the durability, like how much damage it can withstand? When you
I want to say you want to if you use a buy a drone, find something that you what you're going to use it for. So if you're looking for like let's say in my case, if I want to look for a drone, I'm gonna look for a drone that's going to be more like a business drone. So I want to check and see how How does it, when it affected? How long does the battery last? You know, how what the best the part that you're really paying for on the drone is the picture quality.
Okay.
So it's the gimbal. They call it the gimbal. It's the camera, and you wanna get something with good picture quality. You know, the more you pay for the quality of the camera, the more the drone going to be. The price of the drone is going to be. So yeah, so you want to check on that. Like if you flying recreational, you flying recreational bars versus somebody that's flying Part 107 license. Like in my case, I have a Part 107 license. If I want to fly recreational, I can fly over my head. Oh, mind you, that first video that you asked me about, was it recreational? You can't do that recreational unless you have your pilot license legally. You can't do that type of flying unless you have your pilot license legally. Other than that, recreational is pretty much you flying your drone in the backyard or in a club. A lot of people don't understand the difference, but once you take the test and understand the rules and you understand the drone laws and everything, you'll understand that only time you really, if you go buy your drone in the store, you pretty much could fly it in your backyard or a park somewhere where those people not, where there's no crowd at. Some people just do it anyway. Some people do it anyway, but you know, a lot of people get away with it. But the day the drone hits somebody, that's a big lawsuit. That's a big lawsuit on you. Oof. Or in my case, that's a big lawsuit. Plus, my drone license get taken away from me
immediately.
Right. I can because I'm not because I'm in my book. I know I should know the laws. Like let's say if I know somebody that's going out and fly a drone, they don't have any license. They're in the parks where flying a drone where people are. They can get in trouble, but if I do it, I'm licensed to fly and I know how to fly around people. I didn't learn off of YouTube. I actually studied for it.
Right.
So YouTube teach you a lot of stuff. I ain't know I'm not pointing out YouTube like that. I'm gonna say social media.
Okay.
Teach a lot of people that you can fly out low as you want, any way you want, but there's laws against that.
Okay. That's good that you pointed that out for anybody who's trying to get into that field. That's very imperative that they know that these laws, they're there for a reason, to prevent lawsuits and stuff like that. We don't want to get hit with those type of things. So that's good that you pointed that out. Hey man, I appreciate you coming up, you know, sharing your experience, the transition, because that's a pretty interesting transition you did from trucking into the drone field. So, right. You know, you always welcome to come up here. We can get more in depth on the drone. And we can,
I got a lot of stories for you.
Yeah.
Every day I'm out here.
Yeah, and we can tap on more the business aspect of it too, like how you can make money independently or with a company with the drone work as well. But hey, Rue, I really appreciate you coming up here, man. Thank you again. Shout out to everybody who's watching it. You know, thank y'all for the love and support, and tap back in with y'all later.